The Forgotten Asylum. The dare that started it all. Let me tell you a story, one that will make you think twice before stepping into places that have been forgotten by time. This isn't just another urban legend. No, this is something far worse. It happened to a group of 4 friends, and only 3 of them came out the same. It all started with a dare. Rahul, Samir, Priya, and Vikram had been friends for years, bound by their love for adventure and horror. They would spend their weekends exploring old houses, taking late-night drives to eerie places, testing their courage against the unknown. But they never expected that one night would change everything. Blackwood Asylum. The very name sent shivers down the spine of anyone who had lived near it. Abandoned for decades, it had a reputation. Some said it had been a hospital for the mentally ill, patients subjected to experiments so cruel that the government was forced to shut it down. Others believed that the doctors there had gone mad themselves, turning on their own patients. The group had heard all the stories. Samir, the fearless one, wanted to see if any of them were true. One night inside, he had said, "And we'll have the best horror story to tell." A simple dare, just one night. They thought it would be fun. They were wrong. Stepping into the darkness. The asylum loomed in the moonlight, its silhouette jagged against the night sky. The iron gates were rusted, hanging off their hinges as if they had been forced open by something desperate to escape. Priya hesitated. Maybe this isn't a good idea. Samir grinned, too late for second thoughts. He stepped inside first, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. One by one, they followed. The air was thick, heavy, like the building itself was alive and breathing. Their footsteps echoed unnaturally, bouncing off the peeling walls. The deeper they went, the stronger the feeling of unease became. And then, they heard it. A whisper. Soft, almost like a breath against their ears. "Leave!" Rahul froze. Did you hear that? Vikram swallowed hard. "It's just the wind, man." But they all knew. There was no wind inside that place. The room with the chair. They found themselves in what looked like an old examination room. A single chair sat in the center, its restraints still attached, rusted and bloodstained. Old medical charts were scattered across the floor, their pages yellowed with time. Priya picked one up. Patient 246. Severe aggression. Subjected to experimental treatment. She looked up. This doesn't sound good. Rahul's flashlight flickered. The room dimmed, as if something had sucked the life out of it. Then, the chair moved. Not much, just an inch, but enough for all of them to see it. "Nope," Vikram said, backing toward the door. And then the door slammed shut. Not just closed, slammed. They ran to it, pulling at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers returned. This time, they were louder. More urgent. And then laughter. Not human laughter. Something else. Something wrong. The hallway that wouldn't end. The door finally burst open on its own, sending them tumbling into the hallway. Only, it wasn't the same hallway they had entered from. It stretched impossibly long, lined with doors on both sides, all slightly ajar. It smelled of damp rot and something metallic. "Where are we?" Samir whispered. "We need to get out," Priya said, gripping Rahul's arm. They started walking, their footsteps swallowed by the eerie silence. Then, a sound. Shuffling. From behind one of the doors. Then another. And another. One by one, the doors creaked open wider, revealing darkness inside. And deep in that darkness, something moved. Not fast, not sudden. Slow, deliberate, watching. Vikram broke first. "Run!" They sprinted, but no matter how far they ran, the hallway never seemed to end. And then, he appeared. A man, wearing a hospital gown, standing at the very end of the hallway. His mouth stretched into a grotesque grin. And when he laughed, It was as if the walls themselves shook. Then he charged, the escape that almost wasn't. Screams filled the hallway as they bolted in the opposite direction. Doors slammed shut behind them, the walls vibrating with an unnatural force. And then they saw an exit sign. Rahul didn't question it. He grabbed Priya's hand and ran toward it. The man's laughter grew louder, closer. Vikram tripped. Rahul turned back, but Vikram's eyes were wide with terror. "Gio," he yelled. Something dragged him into the darkness. And then he was gone. The others didn't have time to scream. They burst through the exit doors, tumbling onto the cold grass outside. The asylum loomed behind them, silent once more. Vikram was nowhere to be seen. Rahul turned to Samir, his voice shaking. "We have to go back for him." But Priya's expression made his blood run cold. She was pointing at something on Rahul's arm. For dark fingerprints burned into his skin, like something had grabbed him before they escaped. And then, from inside the asylum, the laughter started again. 6. The aftermath. They called the police. A search was conducted. No trace of Vikram was ever found. His family was devastated. The asylum was sealed off completely. Rahul, Samir, and Priya never spoke of that night again. But sometimes, Rahul would wake up in the middle of the night, gasping for breath. Because in his dreams, he was still in the asylum, still running. And Vikram's voice would echo through the halls. "Why didn't you save me?" And worse, some nights, when the air was still, he could still hear the laughter, waiting for someone else to enter, for the next victim, for the next story to be told. Because once you step inside Blackwood Asylum, it never lets you go.